Welcome, girls and boys, to Inside the Kennel podcast. We've got our favourite guest, of course. He's Mr. Footscray. He's played 350 AFL games. They named a wing after him at the Ted Whitten Oval. He's arguably one of the greatest players ever. Welcome to Dougie Hawkins. Dougie, welcome to the show.
Good on you, Paul, Matty. Lovely to be back on board, Paul. And you forgot to say I got hit by lightning as well. But anyway, it doesn't matter.
Awesome, Dougie. Welcome, mate.
How are you, Matty?
I'm absolutely awesome, Dougie. It's September. How good is it? We're there. We made it.
Well, the wind's going, the wind's blowing, Matty, Paul. The wind's blowing heavily, and you just got that bit of smell of finals in the air. And you can just imagine it. You blokes, us blokes, being at the MCG, run out there with 90,000.
Oh, yeah.
How good would that be?
How often did you do that, Dougie? How often did you run out into the G with that sort of capacity?
Well, not too often, Paul. In 85, we would have had probably 85 finals qualifying. We played Hawthorn. We got beaten by 97 points. They've been there on the big stage before. They'd done it at big level. We're new kids on the block.
Yeah, love it.
And we just got absolutely smashed.
Yeah.
Well, this week, Dougie, we've got Hawks again. So I hope that doesn't bring back bad memories, mate. But what are your feelings about this game? And it seems like the Bulldogs are just cherry ripe. We've got players in the reserves that are destroying it. We've got a great reserves team. There's not a lot of look for change in the seniors after their impressive result at Ballarat against GWS. What are your feelings?
Well, Paul, Matty, I just got this gut feeling. I mean, they're a very, very good young side, Hawthorn, and they're playing terrific footy. I want to see how they go when they run out in that ground with 90,000. I sure gives you excitement. But if the opposition jump you and put pressure on you, see how they respond. I'm concerned for Hawthorn with that youth. They keep saying, oh, that's great for the young blokes. It's going to be great. Yeah, you get a couple of quick goals on you and see how tight things can be, how tight things can become, Paul. And Matty, let me just put that right in the right perspective. But I'll tell you what, they're a good young side. They're playing terrific footy. But we agree, at our best, we beat anyone. And people say, oh, any club at their best will beat anyone. I'm saying the Western Bulldogs, at their best, will beat anyone. Make no mistake about it. In that 8, can beat anyone. And I just feel it's so open again, Matty and Paul. And I've just got this little gut feeling again about 216. Revisit it again.
Well, Bevo said after the GWS game, he addressed the players and he said, you know what, boys, it's okay to dream. That's what footy's about. And do you give permission to us as supporters to sort of imagine what the possibilities are for this September? Is anything possible?
Yeah, it is. It is, Matty. Yeah, no doubt about it. And I'm really looking forward to the game on Friday night. And Bevo's been terrific, hasn't he? He's made a couple of moves that have just changed the whole structure of that footy side. And the boy Richards, as you both really love, how he plays his footy and runs and carries and kicks the ball long. The boy that looked like he was gone, the boy Lob, he was gone, Matty, Paul.
Well, Dougie, remember this, at the beginning of the year, and I was just having a laugh with Matty before we came on, you were talking about the 4-headed monster up the front, and you said no one can compete with that. So now we have one of those headed monsters in the back, and we still have a 3-headed monster up front. So it's a perfect outcome, isn't it?
Well, it has been, and for Rory Lobb to grab it by the scruff of the neck, and don't worry about it, he knew he was playing for his life, and obviously if he was going to go to another club, who was going to take him? That was the big question I felt. Who was going to take Rory Lobb, who's at his third club and struggling and not playing any good footy? And Bevo sat him down at a coffee and said, mate, I want you to go back. What do you reckon? He said, let me have a crack at it. I'll have a crack at that. And with Jones at fullback, he's been terrific, haven't they? That move and the Richards one, I think, has been outstanding. The boy Trelaw, he'll be okay. I've just got that gut feel about him. He's a tough kid. He's a tough kid. He's got an ankle. What's he got again? He's got
calf tightness. He's had the week off. I saw him at the VFL on Saturday. Looked really relaxed, and he said, "Look, they've just released the loading, and he's going to be playing. He's super confident. So him and Leif Vandermeer will expected to pass fitness tests, and then then it comes down to the selection table because I'll tell you what, the boys are absolutely firing in the reserves. We got JJ has just returned. Joe Hannison lit them up on Saturday against Brisbane in the VFL. Just some of his electric moves out of defence, incredible, and it just reminded us of his power there and his slingshot sort of speed. And a couple of the other boys, Harms was incredible. He's another hard body.
You got Riley West too, Matty. Riley West played in the VFL.
Yep.
His form, I reckon, Paul, Matty, this year has given that opportunity to come into that 22. He may be a sub. I don't know. I'm not sure about that, but his 4 more years been pretty consistent, hasn't it, Riley West? And he's another one that can come back to that side. But just going back to Treloar, boys, he's been outstanding. I think all Australian. I think he was all Australian, and he'll challenge the Bont for the best and fairest. He won't be far away from him. I think the Bont will win it, and fair enough. But the boy Treloar won't be far behind the Bont in now BNF. How's that? And Maypole well on a Brownlow medal. Just
about to say, I agree totally. But look, there's some interest. I was just talking again to Matty, Dougie, and you've got at the moment you've got Artie Jones, Vandermeer, West, and Harms sort of fighting for a position out there. And then we were talking about the wingmen. So Poulter or Baker were normally rotating through that wing. Both of them are in the VFL. And I was saying to Matty, well, who's sort of been taking that role? And Matty was saying McRae and Daniels have sort of been playing through that in the last couple of games. But to find your normal specialist wingman out of the team's interesting, isn't it?
Gee, Paul, Matty, you named 2 names of our past greats now. They're not past, but this year they've struggled to get a game. But the last 2 weeks, McRae and Caleb Daniel, I think they've been terrific. They've picked themselves. I cannot see Bevo. I cannot. And I hope this shows to all of our Bulldog supporters, and he cannot leave them out. He cannot leave McRae and Caleb Daniel out of that 22, please. Bevo, please, no. Put him in. Is that a fair call, Paul? You guys agree?
Well, we've said it all year, Dougie. We absolutely love those.
Yeah, we have, yeah.
Yeah. We've sung their praises, and it just comes to show at the pointy end, you just need that composure, that experience. And those boys have got it in droves, haven't they? They know how to use the footy. They've got such great chemistry with the younger players. So that's the question, I guess, Doug. Do we stick with the older players, or do we roll the dice and play some of those youthful players like Fraser, who's stepped up? Obviously, we had Artie Jones.
Good.
This week. Yeah, absolutely. And then there's obviously Gallagher as well. So they're going to be fighting for some of those older blokes for the last couple of positions. What would you do?
Well, it's sort of, Matty, Paul, do you go with experience, or do you take the Hawthorn who love to run? Does Bevo sit there and go, mate, I love McRae, I love Daniel, but the leg speed's not super. What about you, just the guy off halfback, number 27? Was it Fraser? He's been terrific, 27.
Yeah.
Paul, it's a real tricky one. I would bring West back.
Yep.
It's a tough gig for.
Why would you bring West back for, Dougie? Just for the toughness?
Well, I think Paul. I think his season he deserves to be picked. I think that he's. And you guys know I'm a West fan. Yeah. I just think that this year he's gone to another level. I thought he was just stagnant a bit. He was just going in, out of the side. Just wasn't getting much of the footy. But I think this year that he's kicked a few goals. He's pressure around the ball inside 50. He's kept the ball in. I just reckon he went to another level, Matty and Paul, this year. And I think he deserves that opportunity to be in the 22 or it'll be a sub. I'd be playing West. But then there I go now. Do I chuck out one of the blokes that I think you played too, McRae, or does it a Vandermeer or someone else get the Choppo out who can run, got the legs?
Well, look, I was at the game on Sunday, Dougie, at Ballarat, And Daniels was so good because it was a windy conditions. Just his composure, just the way that he was able to move the ball, his disposal, just the short game was just excellent under pressure. Yeah. So I can see him playing that style again, Matty and Dougie, like this Friday night.
Yeah, Paul. I'm with you. His ability just to use the ball, the conditions are fantastic. He's got a footy brain. He is athletic, but he's not a mad athletic sort of bloke. He's just got that genuine footy brain, and he knows how to get the ball. He knows how to use the footy, and I've always been a fan of McRae's. I just think he's hard and he's tough. Can play forward, can play back, can play a bit of on ball, can sneak on a wing. It's a tough gig, Matty, Paul. I really mean this. It's a tough gig for Bevo and the coaching staff to pick this 22 and the sub. Yeah.
Well, you know what, Paul? This backline has been the stingiest of all the 18 teams in the competition. It's conceded the fewest points. So tinkering with a back seven that's performing the way it did is a dangerous sort of art. They've got to get the balance right. Definitely, they're playing on the MCG, but I think the fewer the changes, unless they're absolutely necessary, is probably the way forward. I'd agree with Dougie that probably Artie Jones is probably the likely one to dip out for Westie, and they've probably settled at that with a few unlucky boys. JJ just nipping at the heels as an emergency, ready to come. Harms. A bunch of others sort of lining up. But my goodness, it's just a great problem to have. And just on that, Dougie, how important is it to have a VFL team that's competing in finals? So you've got every player on the list up and firing. How important is that for our success?
I think it is important, Matty. I think it really is. And everybody's playing. You know what I mean? If someone's got to go back for a run and they can have a run and obviously play as well. So to have the Footscray team playing VFL and obviously Western Bulldogs playing the AFL, I think it's so critical. I think it's fantastic. And just going back to the back line, and I'm not sure if he's been playing a hell of a lot there, but number 31, which is made famous by Calvin Templeton, he's a bit stiff, not for all Australian, that kid, Bailey Dale. Is that a fair call?
Yeah, he was in the squad, wasn't he? And
he's in the squad, was he, Matty?
Yeah, he was in the squad. He just didn't make the final team. I think they chopped 40 players down to the final 22. So he would have been, he was thereabouts. But what a player he's been.
Where's he been playing, Matty? Off half back, Paul? Where's he been playing mainly?
Yep, yeah, he's been playing off half back, but he does the kickouts. And what you'll notice is he plays on out of defence. That usually does a little chip shot. And then just runs past and does the receive, and his meters gained. The ball's on the half forward line in the blink of an eye with the ball in his hands.
No, I love the way he goes about it, and you just touched on the three big ones, Jamar and Norton, and play Darcy behind him. Let Norton can play up the ground a little bit. Now that Lob can play at centre half back, and the big boy English just re-signed his contract, so. He's going to be very, very critical, English, no doubt about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So can anyone match those threats up forward, Dougie? You've spoken about those three tools.
No, I don't think they can, Hawthorn. I don't think they can. Sicily, who's he go to? Will he go to Norton or did he go to Jamara? I hope he goes to Darcy. Darcy will be just too big and just... Wait, I got a feeling that Bevo might play those three back deep or around that, and then obviously English. Darcy can have a run the ruck, chuck English back in the goal square. So it's going to be a good night. I think it's 26 degrees has been predicted on the Friday, Matty. So there's no problem with the weather. So that should be terrific.
Oh, we're getting excited, that's for sure, Dougie. And I'm not sure if you've tinkered with the ladder predictor for finals. I've probably done it about 50 times. Do you know what? If we do win this week, and the likelihood is that we'll be playing the loser out of Port Adelaide and Geelong in Port Adelaide, so that's likely to be Geelong at the MCG. So you know what? That's a pretty exciting and appetizing proposition. Have we got a September ahead of us? Have we got 4 games in us, Dougie?
Matty, I reckon this group has. I've just got, again, I'll say it, I always love going with the gut feel. And just watching the way they've played the last couple of weeks, Okay, we had a hiccup, didn't we, Matty, a couple of weeks ago? Who was that against? We had a
It was against Adelaide.
Adelaide over there,
Yeah,
over there, and
yeah.
but 4 or 5 weeks into that loss, the boys have been terrific, haven't they? They've been really good, playing a good brand of footy, tack hard, running, playing for each other. They're playing for a lot of passion, a lot of spirit. Jeez, I tell you, it's going to take a good Hawthorn side to beat our boys on Friday night, because they're going to be ready to go. Make no mistake about it. And the Bont, led by the great Bont, I think he's he's a modern day Ted Whitten, who I rated probably, and as everybody's rated, our greatest player ever. This bloke is a modern day EJ Whitten, Marcus Bontempelli. Make no mistake about it. He's a gun. Star.
Yeah. Well, he took out pretty much every honour there was. The MVP.
All-Australian captain, Matty. All-Australian captain.
How good.
You don't get any better than that. Fair dinkum, mate. And he's a ripper bloke too. Really respectful, polite. I've met him a few times. Lovely young man. And he's just a terrific bloke and a terrific player. And the bloke you go to war with. And then you got Libba running around there crunching and banging. And he's changed his game a little bit, Matty. You watch him, he hasn't gone ahead as much. Right. He's been a little bit smarter, young Libba. When I say young Libba, it's probably 31 now. Thomas Liberatore. And then you got, as we say, we spoke about Port Adelaide, and then we got Treloar, Richards, McRae maybe go through there sometimes. But anyway.
Terrific. Yeah. We've got some ammunition, and on the back of 8 out of the last 10 wins, that's as good as it gets leading into the finals, and we haven't taken down the easy beats either. We've taken some massive scalps.
Yeah, exactly, Matty. You're right. We haven't beaten the bottom 3 or 4, consistent. So, again, I'll say it again. Bevo's coaching good, Matty. He is coaching good, and isn't it amazing? Like before we had those wins, people were calling for his head. There was people in the media, and is that fair? Wasn't there? There was people saying, "Is he done? Is his time up? Should he go to the West Coast Eagles?" He was gone. He nearly not gone, but he was media driven, but obviously not internal in the club. But he's just coached brilliantly, Bevo, and as he did in 2016, he coached beautifully again. Then he just coached brilliantly. So.
Yeah, well, after round 8, we were 3 and 5, and pretty much everybody was coming at him, weren't they? And they just said he's lost the players. You look at him after the GWS game; you've never seen a more united group get around their man. And you probably know, Dougie, that he actually overtook Teddy Whitten for the most games coached last week. He's the most successful in terms of games won and finals won. So do you know what? Just try and get rid of him.
It's really, Matty, comparing to previous coaches and stuff like that, he's probably, obviously figures and all that sort of stuff. I'll say this now, he's probably the most successful coach we've had in our history.
Jeez.
216 again.
Wow, you reckon that could happen?
Well, I think it can, Paul. I really do. I'm a fan of Sydney. I think they're a very good side. Johnny Longmire, the horse, is a good coach, proven coach. Desperate. Sydney are desperate to really do something this year, and again, I think they've been probably nearly the best side over a period. They had a 4 or 5 week patch where they were ordinary. A couple of blokes were out. Their good players are out, and then they've bounced back again. And I just reckon they're the side to beat, and we're the side that can beat them.
And just on the doggies and playing on the MCG, if we made it to the grand final, I was talking to a few really savvy supporters over the weekend, and they said Bevo's really conditioned the team to play on the MCG. They've if you look at the statistics, we are the best team at scoring from playing wide. So we actually don't use the corridor as much. We use those lateral 45-degree angles, and we're able to then transition in and score. And as we know, the MCG is a really wide, broad ground. So I think Bevo's got them really primed for that for September action.
No, well, Matty, we'll say it again, Paul. Matty, he's coached very, very well. There's no doubt about it. He's rebounded from that. Matty mentioned 3-5 after round 8. We've called for his head. Might sound like a broken record, but he's just coached beautifully, and he's got this team just ready to go. Could be a couple of could come back into this side the next week if we get through. I'll just say I got this feeling about Hawthorn just tightening up. They're only young. MCG 90,000. Pressure comes into it. 100%. It brings pressure comes on yourself. Miss a couple of ones early and you drop a couple. I'll tell you what.
Now, Dougie, one person that isn't going to be at the MCG, and one that we're going to miss terribly. I just want to touch on the passing of Johnny Schultz this week, Doug. An incredible loss to our football club and community.
Yeah, Matty, that's Paul. It's been a huge loss. The great Johnny Schultz, and everyone called him Gentleman John, and he was. He was just a gentleman. He was a fantastic bloke. You know what, boys? He didn't like the Bulldogs. He loved them. He loved them. He loved the Bulldogs with passion. The Western Bulldogs Footy Club became his sort of second home after his wife passed away. She might have been 213. It might be around that mark, I think, Matty and Paul. And the footy club reached out to Johnny Schultz, and reached out as well. Luke Beveridge. Luke Beveridge was real close to Johnny. Used to drive him into the games, training. Bevo really bent over backwards to support and help Johnny when he needed it. When one of our greats and a legend of our footy club. And I didn't realise that he beat Kevin Murray by one vote when he won the Brownlow in 1960. He beat Kevin Murray. 9 years later, Kevin Murray beats Georgie Bissett from Footscray, our Georgie Bissett, by one vote. Yes. So he gets beaten by one, and he wins by one. I didn't know that. And again, Johnny Schultz, I think 5-time best and fairest. Yeah. Played for Victoria in the 20s. How many times, Matty?
24 times.
24. Wow. I spoke to Sam Newman about him. He said, Dougie, Sam was very young when he first started, obviously, and Johnny was just won the Brownlow, and Sam started in 63 or 4 it was. Sam, fantastic player. He said, Dougie, fantastic player. And you know what he said? A better bloke. So, right, Matty, Paul, we've lost one of our greats, one of our great blokes, great footballer, great person, genuine, love the Footscray Western Bulldogs Football Club. And rest in peace, Johnny Schultz, just a ripper bloke. And we all love Johnny Schultz. He got the job in 2016 to present that cup. You see the smile on his face when he handed it over to Bevo and the boys. The delight on Johnny Schultz's face was just amazing. It was amazing. Yeah. God bless you, brother.
It was great. I mean, the one of the great moments in this podcast is that interview we did with John. I reckon he was one of the very first, Matty, wasn't it? And he was an absolute joy to interview. His honesty, his integrity, his past. He talked about his upbringing. And just Bob Murphy, talking about him the other day, just mentioned he would give Bob an email after his games, and Bob would be so excited to open them up. And he, in one conclusion or in one email, he said, "Don't reply, just go play with your kids, mate." And so, what a fantastic gentleman.
Yeah, I think you were 85, Matty, 86, 85, Paul. 85.
Yeah, absolutely. And he was a convoy to the Queen when she came and visited as well. Back in the 50s. So his job was to escort her and explain the game to her up in the stand. So, that's the sort of, the person that he is, that he was sort of held in that sort of esteem to speak to royalty and what a man and an ambassador.
God bless you, Johnny, the great Johnny Schultz.
Yeah, thanks, Dougie.
Great man. Absolutely. Great man.
Well, nothing left to say, Dougie, aside from what's your final message to Bulldog supporters ahead of this final series? What do you want them to do? What do you want them to think and feel?
Well, I want them to really enjoy and embrace the game. And to the playing group, I want to give you this message. Shop early. Avoid the rush. The great Charlie Sutton Said that to me when I was a kid, and I went down to the milk bar at about 6 o'clock to get the specials. And Mum said, no, he means knock them out, knock them out the ground and worry about it later on. He used to say to me, shop early, avoid the rush. I thought, what's that mean?
You weave that into every episode we do, Dougie. You do
shop
it
early, avoid the
magnificently.
rush. Knock them over, really worry about it later on.
Love it, Dougie. Paul, fantastic. Get down to the MCG, guys. It's
No dogs.
time.
No doggies. Smash them.
Red in my heart, white in my veins, blue in my eye, red, white, and blue in my brain. I'm